Kevin Frey has been chasing down Democratic members of the New York delegation, and he joins us now with more. Good evening, Kevin.
Yeah, good evening. And to put it bluntly, they are very excited, at least the Democrats within the New York City delegation, about the prospect of this moving forward. After about 2 weeks ago, when I caught up with some of them, when it seemed this deal was all but dead, at least the climate provisions within it, they expressed frustration, they were infuriated. A bit of a different tone today. Here's some of what we heard from some of those lawmakers.
There's no silver bullet on climate, but if we're still digging through the text, if it does what they say that it does, then I think it's a positive development.
I'm feeling optimistic, feeling pretty good. I'm glad Senator Manchin and Senator Schumer got into a room to get this thing figured out.
It's not a perfect bill, but it does accomplish a lot in helping deal with climate change, prescription drug costs.
So a reminder exactly as to what is in this plan, which again, we just got the text within the last 24 hours. There's about $370 billion for climate-related spending and energy security, about $300 billion in deficit reduction. Once again, it allows Medicare to negotiate drug prices, and then there are also some tax changes, including a 15% corporate minimum tax, and it also extends some of the Affordable Care Act's subsidies for the next few years. In terms of one of the provisions that is not in there is changing the SALT cap, and if you remember, if you've been watching over the past 2 years, one of the refrains we have heard from one of our members in particular is no SALT, no deal. That was Congressman Tom Suozzi. I asked him about that today as well. It seems that there's no SALT in there. You are no SALT, no deal.
Well,
are you okay with that?
No SALT, no deal is if they change the personal income tax. Right now, it looks like they're not touching the personal income tax, so it's not really the same equivalent.
And he also went on to say that he could see himself supporting this plan. Of course, there are still a lot of moving pieces here as to whether or not Democrats can finally come around to something to get it to the president's desk and actually chip off a good chunk of the president's agenda. One of those pieces is the parliamentarian who has to go through and make sure that this is actually in accordance with the rules of the Senate in terms of what they can pass through this special procedure. Another thing is one of the outstanding senators, Senator Sinema. She is still not weighed in. She's waiting for the parliamentarian, and she has been queasy about some of these tax changes in the past, so we'll see if she's fully on board with this bill. And then there's the one other outstanding issue, at least if they want to get it done next week, and that is COVID. There is no special mechanism in the Senate for lawmakers to vote absentee like they can in the House, essentially. And we just found out that one of the key senators, or one of the senators from the Democratic side of the aisle, I should say, tested positive today. So he's going to be at least out for a couple more days before he can return to the Senate floor.
Wow. So, Kevin, I mean, you just mentioned all those caveats. It seems like this could be a case of premature celebration, right? I mean, if we haven't heard from Senator Sinema, she could single-handedly torpedo this, right?
Literally single-handedly, because the way the Senate is set up right now, 50-50 evenly divided, they can't have a single defection amongst the Democrats to get this bill across the finish line. And Sinema was one of those holdouts before. They negotiated with Senator Manchin. It seems Sinema, like many of the rest of us, kind of found out that this deal had been hatched behind the scenes around yesterday.
Right. All right. Kevin Frey, thank you for that report.